All right. Number 4, approval of the agenda.
I'd like to add to the agenda under item number 12, new business. It'll be item C, trustee sleeve of resignation.
We can add that as the open council seat for item C, 12C.
Yes. Under new business.
May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Councilman Ashman and supported by Councilman Bergsten. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Approval of our council minutes, we have 2 before us. We have the minutes of our regular council meeting, November 26, 2018. Let's do that first.
I did have a question about how this was formatted in here under...
We don't have a motion on the table yet?
Just to let you know, we can discuss things before a motion and after a motion. So we're not just restricted to discussion before or after a motion. So just...
According to the MML general law, we should request a motion first, and then we're more than welcome to go ahead and discuss that at any point. We can withdraw our
What if we want
motion.
to suggest amendments before we make a motion to approve?
Then we can change that at any point.
That's what I wanted to do, is point out something that I felt should be amended before we make a motion.
That's fine.
Okay.
So I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular scheduled council meeting, November 26, 2018. At this point, as presented. And support.
Support and discussion. We can amend after.
Just sounds confusing to me, but okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Can we just...
we've always discussed and made suggestions for amendments before we make a motion typically.
And I concur with that.
Okay. If there's no support, then we can cancel it, but the procedure is to make the motion, have the discussion, and then have a vote on the motion. That is our general law policies.
For throwing a motion out, you're right. If the motion, but if there's discussion prior to a motion, then you're right. We're not restricted to discussion at any time during the meeting, and if a discussion is thrown out before a motion, there's nothing that says we can't discuss before a motion.
Okay. We'll have clarification at our next meeting. I'll have copies provided for that. So, anybody else would like to change their motion? I withdraw the motion.
Can we discuss?
Yes.
Just an explanatory, has to say, yeah.
Oops.
Under, okay, it is under, I think it's under new business. It's on page 5. G, 2009 meeting dates.
Yep.
And this is just formatting thing. I noticed in all the rest of them, when you have the motion, and then you have the number, and then afterwards, the results of the motion afterwards is where the comments are put. So in that case, like if you take a look at number 3 or number 5 right below there, it has a motion and then has a 5 and then 5 says discussion. This one looks like it's flipped. We have after discussion, et cetera, and then 4 there. And I think that first section should be after the motion with a 4 in front of it. To be consistent with the way that the rest of the motions and notes are coming. So I make a motion to approve the draft minutes as amended.
Support.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Thank you. Then we have the special meeting and the closed session of December 12th, 2018.
And I apologize, I should have, if we have mine, I should have circulated these.
Sure.
These are the closed sessions.
Thank you.
So did the rest of us get copies?
All right, so
No, you won't.
it'll go around to the, we're going to do it as one. Yes. All right. So I guess, do we want a moment to check it before we do that? Or do you want to just go ahead and pass it around and inside as is?
It won't take long to review it.
No, not at all.
Feel free to sign or initial back, please.
So what do I do in my case because I was...
You're just reviewing it and initialing.
Okay.
You don't have to vote, but if you do not vote, you would fall in the category of the majority, and that's how you would be counted.
Liz, is this the same thing that, is this Wednesdays?
This is Wednesday's meeting, and when we have a closed session,
Right. Oh, that's right, we didn't get anything on that. Save one?
no, you don't.
Keep it up, okay.
No, you look at them here.
But it will be saved. It's going to be input. And they have to sign.
You said it was Fridays also?
No, Fridays is not included.
So I had just a quick question while we're reviewing the closed session minutes. Do we need to have the minutes from the previous meeting that we had prior to that, too?
The closed session minutes?
Yeah, so we had, right, so we had a meeting prior to the 12th, right? And then it came back.
We had one after that.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, yeah.
That'll be at
This
the
was
next
the first.
meeting.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Good question.
Since everybody had a chance to review, I make a motion to accept the minutes of the special meeting closed session of December 12th as presented.
Support.
And motion made by Ian, supported by George.
Was that for the special meeting and the closed session, or
Yes.
just the closed
Yes.
session?
Yes.
Okay,
both.
thank you.
Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And next you have received your acceptance items. That would be the building department report, the ordinance violation report, and the board minutes from the planning commission, the DDA, and the Brandon Township.
Yeah, and I know these are acceptance items, but I think with the ordinance violation tracking, if there, and this is for council's consideration, if there's items that are closed, there's no reason to keep closed items on the sheet, just the open ones, I would think. That way the list is not going to get so big, right?
Makes it easier for me too, so, I mean, if you guys are okay with it, then next meeting I'll skinny it down.
Yeah, I would
I
probably.
mean, I would leave, and let it drag over, for a month, just to say that
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
closed, so we have history, and then.
Yeah, any that closed since the last council meeting should be on there, I think.
Sure.
So like the past
But I
30.
do like the idea, let's clean up the older ones, they don't need to stay on there indefinitely.
So what we're looking for is everything from the past 30, closed or open. Is that what you're
Everything
saying?
since last, report at the last meeting.
Right, okay. Sounds good. All right, item number 7. You have before you the disbursements for November 15th to December 15th, 2018. I make a motion to approve the disbursement report ending December 15th, 2018, and to pay the village's bills in the amount of $25,656.10.
Support.
And that was Price, supported by Ashman.
I actually had thoughts of one.
Did you have that, sir?
That's fine.
No problem. Appreciate it. Do we have any questions about anything?
I had a question on the road professional services company. We have a, it looks like item number 13. This is a punch list completion and a completion of $536. I don't understand. Submitting a letter is one thing, right? It doesn't take much to submit a letter, but then what's involved with the punch list to generate the 500?
Had to drive out here and physically meet with the contractor, and then now on these submittal reports, it's actually the letter took a little more time because they actually are now requiring a summary report of it, which was probably about, I don't know, I can send you a copy of it, about 10 pages long, take pictures, before and after, so it's like a mini report they're requiring, so.
All right, that's fine.
Anything good? All right. Liz, can I have a roll call, please?
Ashman?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes?
Robinson?
Yes.
Bryce?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. And you have in front of you the treasurer's report for November 30th, 2018.
I make a motion that we approve the treasury report for the month ending November 30th, 2018, as presented.
Support?
Motion made by Councilman Ashman and supported by Councilman Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. And we are on public comments. Those would be on agenda items only at this time. There will be public comments on non-agenda items later in the agenda. Anybody? All right. Seeing none, we have our consent agenda. Nothing on this agenda. So moving on to our trustee committee updates. What do we have? Let's start with Mark.
I received an email today from Chief Guapas. We did hire 3 full-time firefighter/medic positions. It allows us now to come more up to speed and also open Brandon number 3 up on Oakwood 24/7. That'll be soon. There's not facilities in there to support, the overnights and such, but we'll be ready to go. I think the chief wanted to bring in maybe in January or February, the 3 new hires. They've actually been around for a little bit, but now they're full-fledged, which is good. And they're keepers. The chief is really excited. Bill, do you have any?
No, they did get other than we got notification that we did get the credit or the exemption through Oakland County so that they didn't have to have 2 people in the ambulance when it rolls. They could meet them at the scene, because that would have killed the opening up the station had they had to have 2 people in the ambulance when it rolled out of the station.
On the way to, but on the way out, there needs to be 2.
Yeah, when they're transporting, there has to be
Right.
2, correct.
So we can expect more within the next couple of months. The chief will let us know. We can be introduced to the new firefighters. It's good.
I don't have an official committee yet. I think that's going to be coming later in this meeting, but I can provide an update from the planning commission. We did meet in the beginning of this month, and we reviewed the updates that McKenna had provided us based upon the workshop we did. There were a few items that were clarified that seemed like they may not have gotten in there from the workshop that we had, so we made sure all those were properly handled and covered according to our understanding. There were some formatting corrections that were requested, and we expect to get the final version before our January meeting in the planning commission. And after that, we'll review it, and we'll be sending it up to the council here.
And I have expressed an interest in one of the committees, and are we going to discuss those later on?
We will, yes.
Okay.
Would you like to update on Christmas in the Village? You were part of that?
Christmas in the Village, I thought was terrific, except for the weather. But it was great. I had a good time with that. So, yeah, very, very nice. And when I walk over here tonight and I look at that Christmas tree, I think we might have one of the best Christmas trees in the entire country out there in the village, lit up. Very, very nice. Yeah, it was good. Definitely a good time. I
Yes.
enjoyed it.
Share that with Bob. Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that we're still on the personnel committee. We have not met, so I have nothing to report on the personnel committee.
And I have nothing to report at this time, because none of my committees met.
All right, so it looks like we're ready to start the new year off with some get-go. All right. As Dan has said, personnel has not met. We are looking to do that. So nothing further to add with that. Planning Commission, you've been covered. DDA has their year-end meeting tomorrow night. Everybody's welcome to join. Still looking for a couple additional people on a couple of the committees with that too. So you're more than welcome to reach out and learn about that and gather some information. All right. So on our new business, on A,
If I can be so bold as to jump out there, I put that on the agenda just because it's something, if you're aware of my limited knowledge, I plan on getting more. I sent out an email that if any of you'd like to join me, I'm attending a webinar tomorrow on this subject put on by the MML regarding recreational marijuana. The thing that is clear is, unlike medical marijuana, where you had to opt in as a community, on recreational marijuana, you have to opt out to not be part of the process. So if we're so inclined after investigation to put together a policy or whatever to opt out of recreational marijuana businesses in the village, then we'll have to prepare an ordinance and go through the process with a first reading, public hearing, and all that good stuff. So what I planned on doing is attend that meeting tomorrow and then maybe feedback between now and the next meeting, what knowledge I have of that, and then at the next meeting expect maybe some direction from the council on which way you guys would want to go.
How does that work, Bill? Because I know the township has already opted out from this, so, I mean, because we're part of the
We're in
township.
the township.
So,
But you have your own, you set your own, you know, you're an entity upon yourself. You could theoretically, if you wanted to not opt out, you could do zoning ordinances and that to allow it to opt in.
so, I mean, if we do nothing, do we automatically opt out?
No. If you do nothing.
Because the township, you
If you
know,
do nothing, then theoretically, people could approach you about putting a business in the community, and as long as they met your zoning ordinances, which, you know, we still have not direction from the state, to the best of my knowledge, at what, you know, theoretically, say if it was considered a retail operation, and that's all it was considered was a retail operations with these caveats, then, you know, not knowing the whole story, theoretically, if you didn't opt out, you know, one could be put in a position, one of your retail establishments.
So we were provided the MML League information on this marijuana, and it says under the MMFLA, a state operating license may not be issued to an applicant unless the municipality in which the proposed facility will be located in has adopted an ordinance authorizing that type of license.
That's for medical marijuana.
Of medical marijuana.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
in
they're-
there.
So that one we don't need to do anything with,
No.
because it says.
No, you have to opt in to get in recreational, you have to opt out to prohibit them then.
All right, so one's for medical and the other one is for
Right.
recreational sales.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And that's really, I just wanted to set the table on that. You know.
I look forward to more information on that. Thank you.
Then as far as luminaries in the village, we have bought all the supplies, we have the trailers. We're this Saturday at 8 o'clock, we're at DPW, we plan on building them. And then Christmas morning, about the same time, or Christmas Eve morning,
Right.
sorry,
Christmas Eve.
thank you. Plan on distributing them. We could always use more volunteers, so we look forward to, especially probably on the distribution in the morning. We have at least 2 trailers. Many hands make light work. I guess last year they had 2 trailers and then someone showed up with a truck and they were able to get it done in less than 2 hours as far as the distribution, so.
And do we have the scout support again this year?
Yes, and they're giving us a final count first thing in the morning tomorrow. They're meeting as we speak down at the Old Town Hall, so they knew they had 8 or 10 at least and expect more, so.
Good.
So anybody who's interested, Saturday, December 22nd, that would be 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the DPW garage, which is located at 159 Cedar. Another opportunity would be distributing the luminaries, and that would be Monday, December 24th, 8 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. If you have any questions on that, you're more than welcome to contact the village office, 627-4976, and either sign up or let people know you're available or ask your questions.
So I'd like to, one other additional comment. Most people would think the hardest part is to get them out there, but trust me, lighting them is a bugger too. So anybody out there listening to this, if you got a light or whatever, feel free to light them. If you're out in front of your home, et cetera, the more the better, because it makes it easier to get them all there.
I went up there for 30 years doing that.
And I was just going to say, if you haven't seen them, please come out and check it out. Beautiful.
Last year, we had a really nice, I was helping at the DPW last year, and we had really good support. It didn't take that long. I plan on doing it again. It's a lot of fun. I urge people that are available to take advantage of it. Meet your neighbors.
I got to confirm with the boss at home, but I think tentatively I got some tentative consent to help out with the distribution on Christmas Eve, so I'll let you know for sure. Thank you.
All right. 12C is our open council seat. Unfortunately, we do have a resignation from Karen Sleva, and that is effective immediately.
We have to approve that resignation first, right?
So now, I was going to say, now we have, whoops. Right, resignation.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve or accept Karen Sleva's, trustee Sleva's resignation letter as presented.
Support?
Thank you. Motion made by Councilman Ashman and supported by Councilman Robinson. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
In light of us approving the resignation of trustee Sleva, I would like to make a motion to nominate the replacement of trustee Sleva, Collins Kornica.
Support. Discussion?
Yes, appointments are made by posting and having people come forth and us getting a chance to interview and talk with them. As we have done every procedure for every position, which we would love to do and love to be able to have her back. That would be great to come and speak with us, but that's also open to other people as well. And so we'd like to be fair and make sure that we do that for our community.
But didn't we just do that with the election? You know, and she was like the
I
third.
was going to raise that point, actually. If we really want to go technically with the vote of the people, if there were 3 trustee positions open and we had multiple candidates for the trustee positions, I would say it would be just as logical to go with the next highest vote getter in the regular trustee elections, which would be Anna Cole.
That's for trustee position, but
This
if you
is
look
a
at the
trustee
total
position.
votes, total votes, trustee Skornica, I think, came in at 260 votes, which is well above any
However,
council
there was only
trustee.
2 candidates on that ballot, and there was multiple candidates on the other, so that's going to skew those results. I don't think that's a fair statistical analysis.
Well,
So
what we
there's a
have to
9-year
go by
candidate-
is procedures, and procedures is that we post the position, and then we talk with candidates, we have a chance, we get a chance to meet with them
I would
and
also,
discuss
I would
it.
also prefer, because of the short notice, to give opportunity to reach out to both candidates and allow them to be present to express their desire
We
whether they wish to.
don't know if we have any candidates, I mean, we don't
We
know
don't,
if Anna, we don't know, I mean,
So before we appoint, I think we first should try to contact both of the logical candidates, see if they're interested, number one, and number two, if they can make it to the next council meeting so we could.
I still don't understand why we wouldn't bring in a 9-year veteran that's only been gone for one
Well, I could
month.
also say, I don't understand why we wouldn't consider the next logical person in the trustee position election. That, to me, either one are logical candidates. I think we need to not rush into something, but take our time and consider our choices rather than just make a split decision without giving any kind of thought to the process. I would like to talk to both the candidates and have a chance to see how interested either of them are and how dedicated they are.
and there's a possibility there could be other candidates. We have no idea who that is.
Yeah, it's.
As with every opening, we post, it's a procedure, we follow the procedures. We can't just suddenly have this dropped in our lap when we come to a meeting and expect to make decisions.
And also
We have to
technically-
make fully educated
Also,
decisions.
technically, according to the law, we appoint a position. It does not state that we have to pick a position based upon the last election results or anything else. It just says the villages, if you read MCL 62.13, it states that it is the village's responsibility to appoint vacancies in the trustee positions. And they serve until the next election of that office. And I think that if we are going to do our job conscientiously, we should give proper time to give any of the candidates that we would consider and the opportunity to present themselves and their qualifications. That, to me, just is a courtesy to the candidates, potential candidates.
So past protocol, any open trustee seat, we did not post. It was always recommended by council and approved by council as a whole, not any one or 2 people. And
That's how I got on last year.
And 9 years ago, when trustee Skornica was nominated, she was nominated the same way we're doing it tonight. So
Was
there
it-
is
was
no...
was it with such short notice on?
Right.
Yes, it was.
It was not at the meeting in which the person resigned.
Yes, it was.
That person was talked to, the person was interviewed, and we were able to do that, again, following procedure. We cannot make decisions without the information in front of us.
Well, at this point, we have a motion, we need to vote on it one way or another.
Who supported that motion?
I did.
So without having the procedural information in front of us in order to verify that information, we cannot make a motion in which we cannot support the information based on our general law procedures.
That's not a true statement. So you're going against the motion by council, so you're taking
I'm
notice that you're...
ensuring that we make the decision based on the correct legal
I think we
ramifications.
vote on it and then find out later what the correct procedure is. The motion's out there, we vote on it, and then if you find otherwise that we did not follow the correct procedure in any way, then you can bring it back up in another council meeting.
How much does that feel that we should be prudent?
If I may interrupt, from a parliamentary standpoint, there is a proper motion on the table because Michigan law does state that the council, this is the only exception to the rule, that the council can nominate a person for a vacancy, and it does, and as long as it's seconded. So you got to have a motion. You got to have support. I will point out, if it's a 3-3 tie, it is a dead motion at that point in time.
That's right.
So, and then you move on to the next subject. So, you have a proper motion on the table and a second. If you're done discussing, then you need to vote.
So can the council elect somebody or make a motion for somebody who has not here to say that
Yes.
that's okay?
Yep.
And then if they choose not to, for some reason, they could say no, thank you.
Correct.
Okay, all
In
right.
this case, I have to agree with Dan, is that whether I feel it's the right thing to do, I have to agree that there is a motion on the floor, and we do have the authority to make a motion to appoint.
All right. The motion was made by Dan.
Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry, I switched them. And supported by.
Marky Mark.
I thought you said you had to agree with Dan, that's what confused me, I'm sorry, that was fine. All right. And can you read the motion one more time, please?
There was a motion to nominate Colleen Storka to replace the seat left open by Karen Sliva's resignation.
Thank you. And all in favor?
I request a roll call vote.
All right. Liz, can I please have a roll call vote on this?
Eshman?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Hayden?
No.
Robinson?
Yes.
Bryce?
No?
Butsu?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-2.
Thank you. Moving on to number 13, we have our unfinished business. The first is our master plan. Can we have an update on that, please?
We've already received the update basically.
Making sure there wasn't anything else.
Okay?
Thank you. All right. B, we have our open commission, planning commission open seat. We received the information on that. And we had 2 candidates for that. And now we have one that has changed positions. Does that mean anything?
Well, we do have a sitting council member on the planning commission now too, don't we?
Yeah, two now, which is legal, you can't have 3.
Right, well, we have 2
Just
now.
for the,
but-
just for the record.
So that's what I'm asking, so what does that mean for
That would
this
be a
in the way
withdrawal.
of,
Then for swearing.
so,
If you have her consent to,
I did earlier today. After I received notice of this, I confirmed with her, and she said yes.
any additional stuff?
I'm sorry.
No?
So what I would do is proceed with the nomination and go from there.
Okay, So that is for the open planning commission seat.
President
Right.
does nominate that.
Yes. And that, again, you know, back in front of you with that, then we received all the information on the notice of intent from 2 candidates. And I would like to nominate, based on that information, Melanie Nivelt for that seat to be reappointed for that.
Support.
So the council will then vote on that.
So would it be fair to ask, Melanie is out, would it be fair to ask her to come up and talk about why she should be planning commission? Now, you got some great letters of recommendation. Love to hear from you.
No, I already did that at the past 2 meetings, so I'll pass on that.
Okay.
I've had 7 years on that and 3 years on council. You know, it speaks for itself.
Yes, I would like to add that I've worked with Melanie for quite a while. She's very dedicated. She goes above and beyond in order to bring information, valuable information to the planning commissioner, and it's been a pleasure working with her. She's very passionate about this community, and I know sometimes I've heard some criticism that sometimes it can be a little bit heated during discussions, but that's simply because of the fact that she is passionate, and we want people who are passionate like that in that position. And I think that I see that as a positive thing, is that she does care about the community. So I see that involvement and that passion that she has as being a positive thing. So I hope everybody considers that and considers her long service in the community and the value that the planning commission as a whole has expressed in her and their desire to see her come back to the planning commission.
I like to comment. So I agree. Passion should bring excitement, right? Because without that passion, you really don't know. So as long as passion doesn't cross the line to make it personal, and to me, we all have to look at this and say, okay, we just want to make sure, we want to be as transparent as possible. We know there's transparency issues between different government, and hopefully we get to improving that transparency, whatnot. So I agree. Passion should bring excitement, as long as it doesn't become personal to where it's mudslinging or whatever, or degrading someone's person. But if it's all about for the right of the village, then excitement and passion is important. So I agree.
And I believe that you wanted to stand up
Wow,
and
did you
mention
want to-
something from
Well, I
planning
was asked to
commission?
speak last time when there was a no vote, so I
Yes.
think I should get the opportunity now with the other.
I do too.
It's Bob MacArthur, 445 Schoolhouse Street. I'm on the planning commission, and we did spend a good amount of time at our last meeting interviewing and talking with Melanie and posing some difficult questions and asking for responses of the future with her being on the planning commission. And am I picking it up that the council is looking at having 3 council members on the planning commission?
No, can't, it's illegal.
Okay, because I see the issues with myself with being on the planning commission. And you might as well, village council, just take it over then, is to do that. But what little bit of time I've been on the planning commission and a long time in the community, the things that have been brought forward by Ms. Nivell on that planning commission has been extremely beneficial for several of us that are on it, because again, her passion and her drive. She spent a lot of time on that, helping prepare the master plan, which I had the opportunity to work with her on that. And again, she kept me driven to keep getting the information that we needed to get. I think it'd be, as I said before, I think it'd be a huge injustice not to put this compassionate person back on, like you're looking at putting back on somebody that had 9 years, that didn't get the votes. And I think it would be a real injustice. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Any other questions, comments? All right. And can we then entertain a vote on that? That would be the Planning Commission open seat appointment to Melanie Michael.
Did you want a roll call vote?
Please.
Yes.
Hayden?
Yes.
Robinson?
No.
Bryce?
Yes?
Butsu?
No.
Eshman?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Our next item is our rules of procedure.
Just, we had submitted that in final form, but the only reason we didn't put a motion down there is because we didn't want to trump everybody in case they came up with something at the last minute. But if you are happy with it, with the adjustments that Karen and Larry made, then you could entertain a motion to approve it as presented, or if you guys want to tweak it some more, you're good. Keep in mind, like I said before, if you're getting it in place, unlike an ordinance or something, if you find something is a little out of place and you need to change it, you could change it in a meeting. You don't have to have public hearings or anything like that to change it. So,
I was just going to say, I think we should tweak it a little bit more, but that's just my opinion.
Is there any
My
particular
thought-
point?
Is that?
I was asking Mike if there's any particular spot you think needs tweaking?
Well, to be honest with you, because I just got back out of town, in town, and I reviewed it, and I just want to get some more clarification on a few items,
So maybe we could clarify them right now before we vote on it.
I'm just not ready to.
I personally, I think what you did was great, but under item 4, which is the Ortonville Planning Commission,
Which page?
excuse me,
Which page?
I'm sorry, 14. It's all bolded in yellow there, or highlighted in yellow, and there's some acts there contradicting with what the Municipal League's Handbook for General Law, village offices. So if you cite that versus what the Planning Enabling Act and what the other ones are, there's some contradictory verbiage in each one of them. So to me, I think I'd like to table it so that we open up the zoning and ordinance, or the Michigan Planning Enabling Act and the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. Let's open those documents up now that we've cited them, and also open up the general law village and see how those read, because it should be either or, not this, and or this. So we've always in the past.
Dan, I think I can answer some of that clarification.
Okay, but I'm not always in the past. We've always gone by the handbook for general law and village chapters. So I'm not saying what's in here is wrong, Larry. I'm saying we need more information just to cite this. These acts are large and detailed. We need some reading. So I think we need to publish those to council so that we can make an informed decision, as opposed to just putting that in there. I'm not saying you haven't done your homework. I just like to see how those read.
Yeah, well, the reason that they're listed specifically like that is because those two acts are what gives the specific legal justification for a planning commission and the basis for it. And actually, in your handbook for general law villages, in that chapter 9, that's actually where the first part of that chapter 9 actually states, chapter 7, and real quick. Here we go. Right in the beginning of that chapter 9, it says, legal framework. Legal planning and zoning authority is based in 2 statutes, the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act and the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. So those are the exact legal basis for a planning commission.
But you
That's
need to
why
read
we-
to the end.
Let me finish, Dan. That's why we said, as authorized or required by the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, and summarized in the Michigan Municipal League's Handbook for General Law Village. Because as you mentioned, those are 2 very large, complex acts. So the handbook gives a nice summary of what's in those two acts, and that's why we added that as a third reference, as a summarization of the content of those two acts. So that's why it was worded that way.
So how much verbiage is in that book? I mean, I get it. I read exactly what you read, the first 3 lines citing those, but how much additional information is there under that, under the
handbook
Village
here?
Long handbook? There's quite a bit there. So I guess my point is,
Actually, when we were in discussion on this, I did mention to Karen that I thought that we probably did not need to reference the Michigan Municipal League's handbook, because we all should have the handbook and be familiar with it, and it's just a summary
we
of what's
don't.
in those two.
We don't always have, we don't all have it. That's my point. We should get our hands on it, let's read what it says and compare with them, and because there's ordinances that govern how we I would say, manage the planning commission now. We have an ordinance right now in our books, correct?
Well, Dan, I would have to state that all of this documentation, every single one of these things referenced here are available, freely available from the Michigan Municipal League online. They're available online to download the handbook. These acts are available online from the state. All of these things, all this information is out there. We're just saying, hey, this is where they're at. And if you just do a search for it, you can find it and download and read all that stuff directly.
I totally agree. So I'm not denying this. I'm just suggesting we table it so that other council trustees can get their hand and read the same thing you and I have read.
So
I
if
request
I can
that a copy-
interject, we are not at the point to make a decision on this. It was just to bring the current
Okay.
changes to you. Please go ahead and get a chance to look over it. Please go ahead and give feedback to Bill. If we feel that there needs to be another session where everybody kind of gets together, or we continue to throw back, how about this, as was done so far in the email, that would be great, and just kind of pass information along and share it. I would love to see this in place at the beginning of the year. We've been working on this for a year and a half off and on, but I don't want to see this in place when we haven't come to a decision on what we think should be in there. So let's
I would
go ahead
also ask that,
and
Mark, if you
talk
have
with
any
that.
other
Well,
sections.
I'll tell you, one of my concerns was Karen Sleva had reached out to me just the other day, before she resigned, and she said she was upset about a little bit of this, and she, I don't know, you guys sat down and you made some decisions, and then she thought about it, and she, felt bad about it and all this, and I didn't get to fully discuss that with her, so she had reservations, that gives me reservations. Okay?
Well, then that's why just to point out, that's why that she wanted to summarize in the Michigan
Yes, she
general
wanted the
law,
reference
she
to
wanted
the
that
handbook.
in
I
there,
felt
so
it wasn't
that's why-
necessary. She
that's
wanted
why
it
it
in
was
there, and I
inserted.
conceded that to her and said, okay, when we first met and discussed this, we, in our actual meeting, our meeting there, and nothing against, to disparage Karen, because I think she put the lion's share of work into this and did a lot of research and good work into it, so, I want to give her credit for that. But when we sat at that meeting, we sat there, we discussed it, we talked it over, we were there with Bill, and at the end, I thought that we had all come to an agreement, and I had taken a draft, and I said, okay, look this over, does this look good for the section? And it seemed like we were all in agreement. When I sent that draft in, it was after that Karen brought up her reservations. She wanted to add the reference to the handbook. I said I didn't feel it was necessary, maybe we should take it to the council and let them decide whether they want the reference or not. She seemed to feel it was important, so I said, okay, in that case, we'll include it in the draft that went out to you guys, and if the topic gets raised, then we can discuss what we had felt about that. That is where the state was, so I had thought that the last communication I saw from Karen regarding this specific document was that she was okay with it, so I'm not.
I tried to reach out earlier
really
today
understand
with her, and I
what
never could get a
reservations
hold of her, so I didn't get, confirmation that she was good
Yeah,
with it.
because,
so-
I've got the emails back and forth, and the last email from her said she was okay with it, and Bill says, hey, I think this is good, and as far as I know, we didn't hear anything contrary.
No, I got confirmation back that it was okay from Karen to send out
This version.
this version.
Yeah.
All right, but we have a couple other questions that were brought up.
That's fine.
A chance to look at it, talk about it, and, get your thoughts together, do some research, and please have everything ready and available and sent out to Bill to look at and everything to get this wrapped up. All right, and the next item is our 2019 subcommittee appointments. In light of the fact that some of our council has changed, we are going to do that in January and get a chance to see what Colleen is interested as well and get a chance to look at those together. So those appointments will be made in January. Anybody has last minute changes or thoughts or ideas, go ahead and please let me know. I thank you. I think Mark was the only one that said I would really like this, and this, and I really wouldn't like that. I love that. Because I said, like, what's your favorite and what's your least, and only one gave me, not really. So if anybody has those two, that would be nice, because if we have, 5 of us, one, that would be great.
I'd send you the ones I would.
I know, but Mark still sent me the, I don't think so. And I was looking for give me across the board. So it was great. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Communication preferences. Bill, you want to address that?
You
little
got
piece of paper?
you got the list there, correct? And it's just, in the emergency, how do we get a hold of you, basically?
And we can update that in January.
If we can update that again if you would like, if this matches what you guys are happy with.
I'd like to just define what is routine, because if routine means that you're going to put something in there that we're going to be called upon to discuss or vote on or what have you, that's not routine. That would be, okay, text me, give me a hard copy, etc. So as long as, if routine means, oh, we had a fire and da-da-da, and that's routine, that to me is fine. You can email that. But if it's something that we're going to be discussing here in council, then we need to be texted or called or given a hard copy of whatever. So that's my description of routine.
So with that said, is yours okay, or would you like to a little more
What is it?
clarification, or
I'm confused.
Well, it says text to email. What does that mean?
is it or to? Text or email, or text to email?
For Dan, it was a text to check his email.
Oh.
Yes,
Yeah,
I texted, check email.
Look at that.
I like that.
Um,
Text. Oh, check email.
So if we
You better open the phone chat in there.
If you text me, I'll stop by and pick up the hard copy, okay?
And let you know it's available.
Yes.
Okay. And
All right. So we're
you
going
can
to text you.
update mine to text email, I usually do
Okay.
a good.
All right, so
look at
anybody
my
can
emails.
update any of that information to the office for Liz, and Liz will get us all on board in January and get everybody listed on there, please. I appreciate that. Or Bill. And Bill, you have some information for us?
Anybody got any questions on the management report, manager's report?
I do.
What?
How many? Okay, I want to know, how many more dumpsters do we have to deal with?
Oh, gosh. And I'm ballparking now, but probably it's definitely less than 10. And it's probably more like a half dozen. So we've got some difficult ones that we've been struggling with a little bit of how do we actually solve the problem. You can go right out the door here and see that, where if we require a shelter, it's going to take out a parking space or two and create another problem. So
We have to do one of two things. We either have to do that, or they have to submit something to council because of the location to see if there could be a variance for that. I mean, so that'll be one or the other, right?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because I started this 3 years ago, as Wayne Wills could testify, and then last year I thought, well, boy, we're on a roll,
We are.
I was going to say, we're down to,
There's, and of those, say half dozen to 10, there's 3 or 4 now with open permits that, need to get done. And that includes some of the ones, like our gentleman that came in the office here to want to not put the gates on it, that we need to get compliance on. I spent the last, we closed out, I believe since the last meeting, another 3 or 4. Part of that is, because that's where it was last week when we printed it out. But we continue to go after it. We've made excellent progress on 30 years of negligence, and we'll continue to drive that home and get the ones finished. We're we're down to either the rough ones or
Close to the goal line.
Close to
We
the
just
goal
need to get
line.
it over the goal line, right?
We spent an inordinate, if you're not aware, spent an inordinate amount of time on this issue with a company called Odd Job, who stopped doing business in Ortonville, but have not picked up their dumpsters.
Commercial.
Commercial,
Still
well,
residential.
well, yeah, they're, you know, the senior center, so it's been, we're down to the point now where I'm threatening them with legal action because they, you know, I call them on the phone, they remove 2 or 3 dumpsters. You know, I call them on the phone and I find 2 or 3 more.
Are there garbage in those dumpsters?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
And all
So-
on the ground.
And they're not picking them up?
And there's the new dumpster right next to it. For 30 days, we had the Sonic Hall one had 2 dumpsters in it.
So what is the legalities over our DPW, moving those over to the DPW garage and then continue to be in contact with them? And then the final letter is, we're going to sell your dumpsters for scrap if you don't come and pick them up.
Trouble is, they're full of material.
And on private property, that would be the property owner.
Well, we get
Yeah,
approval,
yes.
I'm sure they won't have any problem us taking them over to DPW garage temporarily.
The senior citizens
They are.
there should be.
But at least we're cleaning them up and we
Yeah.
make it, you know.
So
Just
we've
trash that
probably- Yeah, we've probably 6 or 8 that have got cleared up and,
Okay.
you know, so. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I have a question in regards to Phragmites, and I know we talked about this. It is an invasive species. It's been around in our village for many, many years, and the issue with Phragmites is obviously the spread of them, right? So where we have them today, they're contained today, and to my knowledge, they're not intruding in anybody's property or
Well,
whatever.
that's not true.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's when I brought it up several months
Okay.
back, and we have an issue over there behind the old junior high school, you know, where the creek is, and now it's overflowing into the gentleman's backyard that's on Merritt Street.
Okay, so I wasn't
And
even
he
aware of
can't
that.
even mow his lawn anymore because
It's
there's always
all
flooding.
That's,
Yeah.
I've lost half my yard due to Phragmites.
Yeah, so,
It
yeah.
blocks that whole corner where Sherman Court, they drained everything, nothing drains because the Phragmites are on the corner, and it just flows back into our
Okay.
yards.
All right, I stand
Creeks, a
corrected.
swamp with mosquitoes and all that stuff, yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right,
But I
That's
see
good,
that
man.
you got something going on with Bob Huxwell, you know, for that, so that's good, you know.
I mean,
So
we
we can
can
attack this.
we can attack it on a limited basis with Bob, but it's gonna require,
a license, yeah.
And
A
it's going to be
license.
difficult because
It's gonna be
once it is
difficult.
on private property, then you could treat everything that's on public property, but then they're still going to be on private property potentially and spread right back in too.
Well, that place we owned off of Church Street, that's horrible.
Right.
The cul-de-sac, what's the name of that? That's just pure Phragmites.
Yep.
You can't,
Oh, yeah.
nothing drains over there.
And I think the ditch along by the school property that's sold, there's a large patch.
Right, that's what I was just talking about there. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're affected by that too, you know?
Yeah, there's a large patch, I think just the other side of the little drainage.
They used to keep that back field always mowed. In fact, they would let the kids at the school come over and use it for soccer and stuff like that. Now they can't even keep it mowed.
I do know that license is not easy to obtain. I do know you have to take a test. It's very similar to using biocides, whether for water treatment, in this case it's herbicide, but I do know it's not an easy test, and if it's Bob, then he's gonna have to study for it.
Yeah.
And now we have more
It's
issues.
gonna be very limited, you know, because, you know, in order to attack this the right way, we're gonna have to attack it on a village basis. We're gonna be serious about it, and that.
There's more laws that the state's trying to pass. You had sent out, correct? So,
I would also be concerned about the potential impact of any herbicides or things like that that we use around sensitive areas like the creek and stuff like that, since it is a protected wetland, protected creeks, trout stream. I understand the issue with it as an invasive species, but I also wonder how much secondary environmental impact we could have on some of these sensitive areas by trying to treat one problem and then potentially causing more harm than, we can avoid in that case.
Yeah, you not only need a license, you need a permit to actually treat it. So hopefully we could crib off Brandon Township's permit, but that's things that we need to continue to talk about.
And what's the cost involved with treating that?
Well, they treated a short section in the right-of-way over near Oakwood, and it was about $100.
Okay, so it's-
But you need to, it's not massively, if you're gonna do it right, you're talking about treating a substantial area. You're not talking about treating 100 foot within the right of way of Oakwood or whatever.
Would you cut them out then treat, or vice versa?
There's different theories on it. You
Oh,
treat them, and then after they, goes down into the roots, cut them out and, mow them out, and different theories say don't mow them, burn them. And that's probably something we are not going to entertain here because of the close proximity.
Well, I know that when they treated a small batch over by Station 3, yet killed it off. They killed everything off in that small section. It was like completely dead. And then the only few things that seemed to be coming back was a few stragglers of the Phragmites coming back.
Yeah, you gotta be
Yeah, it's a
committed, because
2-year
it's not, it's
cycle.
2-3 year
Yeah,
cycle
yeah.
before you get it under control, so.
And that's one of the things, having seen that result there, it made me wonder what other potential impact we'll have on the rest of the habitat and environment by trying to treat these.
Good point.
And there are monies out there available for that too, that we've been kind of looking into and seeing what the county's doing and looking at that.
I have one other question. You say that the new speed signs have been ordered. Did we ever
Yep.
correct the uploading issue that we had with the ones we have now?
No, I'm still struggling, and then maybe I might have to entertain Larry or somebody, because
Well, there's still...
Well, wait, he's got to be appointed though first.
No, to the IT committee, yeah. But they're still under warranty, and you know what? we
Yeah,
bought
it's-
them. We buy them online, or do we buy them from a salesman, or how do we buy them?
Yeah, bought them online,
Oh.
and they're a reputable company. I've been on the phone with them, I just gotta drag them into the office and set aside a day to get them on the phone and me on the phone, because I'm 99% sure it's operator error and not their problem, because it's downloading to my cell phone, and it looks like it's in the right format, and then I try to download it into the computer to make the graphs and stuff, and it's not communicating, so I need to find out if do I need a different program or whatever. So I'm gonna bring the sign in the office, take it out of commission for a day, hook it up to my computer and download the program there. We could kill two birds with one stone, because they gotta take them out of service once in a while to have the batteries charged anyway, so I can just have the guys drop them off at the office, download it to my computer, charge them at the same time, send them out.
I might be wrong, but I thought I had some sort of conversation with Lieutenant Glover, and I thought he had said that he had downloaded information and used it, so I don't know.
No, look, and I said, hey, he's got the password, and
Oh.
he got that, so,
Okay,
no, he has not.
okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah, regarding those signs, I think we still should consider getting some extra spare battery packs so we don't have to take them out of hours.
I gotta find a different source though, because I did ask for a quote for a battery from the supplier, and it was $280 per battery. And that, in my mind, is,
Yeah, this guy
Batteries aren't cheap, that's for
no, I
sure.
wanna find an alternative source without killing the sign.
Well, I think you talked about keeping one in and rotating one, so it's always working, then we wouldn't need another battery, correct?
That's
Unless
why-
something
Well, that's why I
happened.
said we should get a couple spares so we can do that. We don't have that.
There's two in each one, we can rotate
No,
one
the
out.
spares,
and keep
they'll
one-
operate on one battery, you don't need both batteries at the same time, they'll operate,
Yeah.
Right.
they'll,
It would be nice to have them so you don't have to be swapping them out every few days.
be slave to it.
I do agree, we need backup to keep those signs going, because the whole purpose of those, and they are working, we all agree they're working, is to keep them operational, so, and that means getting a couple backup batteries. I think it's worth it. But I agree, look for alternate sources for the next cost.
By the way, on C, I'm assuming that you're talking about commonized signs, not communized signs.
What?
Yeah, it's one typo.
We don't want to call you, start having to call you comrade.
I just like.
All right, I believe we are ready for public comments on non-agenda items only. Does anybody have anything?
I do.
My name is Wayne Wills. I am here tonight on behalf of the DDA. The Ortonville Downtown Development Authority has 2 events coming up. In the interest of transparency, as Trustee Esman has indicated, is important. Our annual National Main Street accreditation happens every year in January. So it's a day-long, a one-day program that we have people coming in from, last year we had a gentleman in from Iowa, and he goes around the country evaluating communities. And so last year we went through this process. We had various stakeholders are invited in, councils invited in. It's on January 29, so check your schedules. It's an open invitation.
Time?
It's throughout the day.
Oh, okay.
It's throughout the day. So they'll bring in council people, and then they'll bring in community people. They'll bring in township people, anybody else, just to have give and take to make sure that there's open and even flow of information from all sides. So, and again, that's on January 29th. The other item is that effective in May or the spring of next year, the DDA is looking into, there's not been a decision on this because we're trying to bounce this off of council, for example, and that is we're going to reestablish a farmer's market. And we've got some people in line, and we're going to start searching for a market manager. If you remember back a few years ago, Debbie Baker had that position as a market manager. And also what we're going to do differently is rather than having one location, we're going to have it throughout the village. And we're going to have a really nice shed. It's called a shed, but it's going to look like a fish shanty, but it's going to be not as deep. And they're semi-portable, so we'll have these dispersed throughout the village, so that on the day that we're going to have this, which is probably going to be one day a week or whatever the case is, then we'll have those at various locations to improve the traffic flow of people visiting throughout the village. So anyway, that's going to come up in the spring, and the Clarkston Construction Tech Program, which is through Clarkston Schools, is going to be collaborating on building those sheds. So that's it. Yes, sir.
Just a quick comment. I do remember, and I love the farmer's market, but if I remember, the DDA made a decision to roll in the beets and the fries into the same day as the farmer's market. And I thought that it did injustice to the farmer's market because of all the morning attendees, and typically it's in the morning. And
yeah, that's why they did away with the beets and eats is far too weather dependent, and it seemed like every Friday night the weather was not cooperating, so it kind of went the way of the Edsel, unfortunately. But the farmers market is
good news.
This is going to start hopefully in spring in conjunction with flowers and getting flowers out, and then as it goes through the summer, it will move more towards vegetables and other things.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
That's it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Wayne.
Food trucks too.
Food trucks, maybe, hey, good idea, probably.
Excuse me, can I just back up slightly for 1 second? We've been talking sidewalks, and last year, we missed it, and all that. How soon do we have to get going to take care of Oakwood, and we already have something rolling for Ball Street and that? I mean,
Oakwood's not in the budget this year, but.
We can't do it for next year?
Narren Ball and Narren, well,
Okay.
no, that's something we can put into next year's budget, but Narren Ball and Cedar were in this year's budget.
Right.
That is going out for quote again in January.
January, okay.
So, let me ask you something, when you say it's not in this year's budget, the whole project in itself is going to be quite large. So have you considered phasing in the project such that we do a little bit each year, and by the time 3 years, that we're done, right?
Yep.
So to me, it's showing that we have a plan and that we're going to chip away at it as money allows, but do it right the first time and keep building off those blocks, right?
I mean, we're all in agreement.
Right,
That's
right.
that's the next.
I mean, maybe the
project.
biggest thing we could address is the bridge. I mean, we want people to be able to go across that bridge safely. So somehow we could do some sort of passing area for people to safely cross that bridge, and then we're.
You're talking down near Narren Park?
Yeah.
Bridge?
Well, no, actually, right over here on Oakwood,
Or-
yeah,
or one
just
up there.
off the church, I mean, I know we have our family come in here all the time, and they make comments about that, and that's one of the high dangerous areas for them to cross, so, right? so-
Yep, that too.
I just want to throw that out so that we
That
get the mindset.
That connects the subdivision too, so to
Yeah.
your point, you're right, it doesn't have to be all the way to Beekys, it could be, at least connect the subdivision
Get that going.
to the other parts of the community. Yeah, good point.
All right, thank you, that was all I had.
I mean, part of what we talked about at one time was connecting, if the bridge was in fact too expensive or something, run that down, what is it, what's the one that,
Oh, Narren.
no, the one that connects to
The backside of
the
Beekys.
backside of, no,
That's
up on your street, there's a
Allen
path.
Ridge, Allen Street and First,
Sherman Court.
Sherman Court, right?
yeah, up to Sherman Court.
Okay, and that goes up to Sherman Court, so running the sidewalk up to Sherman Court, down Sherman Court, and
Oh, I
on
see.
this
Down the
existing
East Ridge
path,
Path.
as part of the piece, then that way you can, then it's cheaper to join that second subdivision in, without having to pass over a bridge or something.
But doesn't that cross private property right there, or no?
That's public
Well,
access.
Pardon me?
That's public access.
It is, okay.
I think we can evaluate
Yeah.
this, because having the bridge over there off of Oakwood does invite other people close to our community, not just a private residency access to the village, but having that sidewalk along Oakwood would promote other people coming in outside of the village as well.
Yep.
So,
Do you have any other public comments? All right, then we will move on to item 16, items from trustees that we did not address in our committees. Anybody? Guys, we'll start with you. Sorry.
I reversed, I backed up, and I took care of it, and I'm good.
All right, so we addressed the sidewalks. Anything else?
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment, I know that people commented on Christmas in the village, it was done well, and dittos to everybody that had a part of that. The feedback I got was definitely a success.
Just like me. Anything else you want to share? Larry, you did.
Yes, I did want to share about the wreaths that we currently have on our street lamps. And I've heard some comments that the lights are starting to look a little bit faded looking, and I know that they're kind of older style lights and stuff like that. I did talk this over a little bit with Bill. He said we do have money in the budget, and I think that what we should do is take a look after the Christmas season when prices are good to see about maybe replacing the current lights on the wreaths with some LED lighting. And in addition, in the course of our recent expeditions out for Christmas shopping purposes, I've also had the opportunity to see how other communities are doing their decorations. And one of the things I think would be a nice addition to the wreaths that would really kind of complete it, and I've seen this in several communities, is also adding a lit garland that spirals up the lampposts. So if we have the budget to do it, I think it would be a good idea to update those lights to LED lights in the wreaths, get them a little brighter, cleaner look again, and also maybe see if we can add in some garlands to lit garlands to also wrap up and add to that too. I think that would really dress up the decorations in the village nicely.
That's funny you said that, because people were talking about the sidewalks being a little dark at the end of Christmas in the village, and somebody mentioned lights down the pole versus just on top. That's along the same lines.
Good suggestion, Larry.
About around lights on the poles, or garland on the poles right now, rough estimate, $2,000, 36 poles. Converting the lights, which we have to do over to LED in order to, you know, especially if we're considering adding lights on the poles because of the draw, will be about, there's 1,800 lights, or 1,080 lights in the wreaths. Will run us, I did find a place online, about $1,000 for the light bulbs to replace them.
We couldn't replace just a whole head, you know, sometimes you could, you know.
Light bulbs each, you know, like.
I thought he was talking about the whole
In the
wreath.
In the wreath, there's
Just
just
in the wreath, okay.
36 poles, there's 30 lights in each
Okay.
wreath. So, and they're about $1 a piece now, is about, we got them down from $1.50 to about $1 a piece. So you're looking at about $1,000 for replacing the bulbs in the wreaths. And then we do need to replace some garland that's fallen apart, the non-lighted garland, which Bob and those guys want to replace, which is about $1,000. So we've got about 1,200 left in the budget. So if we're going to spend, by my math, $4,000 on upgrading Christmas decorations, we'll need a budget adjustment of about $3,000.
Could you do a comparison of, okay, you talked about lights, individual cost of each light. I mean, at the end of each year, the strands of lights, so let's, okay, take the strands off and then replace the whole strand. Wouldn't it be cheaper to replace the whole strand with LED lighting as opposed to doing each individual bulb and that way?
Well, we can do a cost study on it. And
Yeah, we're checking it out, because that seems awful pricey.
Yeah.
And what does it save us in the lighting by going to all LED? You know, what point will that be a good?
Paid for itself like we did the rest of the town.
Right, at what point, you know? No?
We get
That's-
Or maybe not.
longer lasting
But
lights
it's
that-
certainly, we gotta get through Christmas first. So, but good point, man.
Mark, was there anything there?
Just speaking of lights, how are we doing on the Edison rebate with the streetlights, the
It's
changeover?
on your disbursement report this year. So far, since we have converted, we have saved $4,894. That would be since April, March or April.
So not even a full year.
Not even a full year.
Oh, that's great.
So we've saved.
We're in the process, we've converted the old town hall to LED, we've converted, we're in the process now, I walked into DPW, and that place was absolutely dark, and I told Bob, that's the next building, so we've ordered it was in the budget to do it, we've ordered the lights, and Bob's gonna replace it, it's probably about $600 plus labor, but that should pay for itself, plus it should. There are places where I'm surprised somebody hasn't been hurt because it's just not lit properly for working that, you know, for our guys, you know. So, and then we have replaced some of them in the village office, and what's good is we've discovered that if you put 2 LED bulbs in where we've got 4 bulbs, it puts out as much lumen, and you eliminate the baluster, and you basically are not only drawing, if an LED draws a tenth of what a normal bulb does, you're not only drawing a tenth, you're dividing that in half again, because you're only putting 2 bulbs in to replace 4, and you're taking it in a tenth, so that will pay for itself in a hurry too, so we're excited about that.
Anything else, Mark?
No, I'm good.
All right, can we entertain a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Support?